Next, we'll set up the extended period analysis to look at a multi-day period. We want to run this for a more realistic time period, so we're going to set this up for a 3-day run. To do that, you're going to go over to the browser. From the drop-down, select Options and then Times. Double-click on there. Our total duration, again, 3 days, so we'll set this to 72 hours. The hydraulic time step we will leave at the default of 1 hour. The pattern time step we're going to change to 6 hours. Start time will remain 0. The reporting time step will be hourly. And report time step 0, and we'll leave the clock start time at 12 a.m. Close that, and the pattern will set up next. And what this pattern does, we'll go to the drop-down menu and go to Patterns, and you'll add a pattern. The pattern is going to vary the demand at each of the junctions or nodes, so we have a more realistic demand there. So this is essentially how much are users using, how much is being used at homes or businesses or whatever other water user there is. And that doesn't stay the same over the course of the day. That's going to vary, whether it's morning or evening or the middle of the night, how much water is being used. So this pattern is going to be assigned essentially as a multiplier to each of the demands that we set for the nodes or junctions. So since we set a 6-hour pattern time step, each of these time periods is 6 hours, so this is 0 to 6 hours and then up to 12 hours, etc., etc., etc. So let's set these. The value for the first multiplier is 0.5. The value for the next multiplier is 1.3. Third is 1, and then 1.2 for a multiplier. And you can say OK once you have all those patterns saved. We now need to assign the demand pattern we just created to all of the junctions in the network. One way to do this is individually to assign the demand pattern, and an even better way to do it is to assign it as a group. So if you go up to Edit and select All, since we want to apply this to every single junction in our network, and then return to Edit and go Group Edit, we're going to go down to this already is on junction, so we're going to go down to replace the demand pattern with 1 and say OK. And you'll see that each of the junctions were updated. So they now have that pattern we created associated with them. Now we can run our model and view the results. Go ahead and run. We have a successful model run. And with the multi-period analysis or extended period analysis, we have several more options for how we can view the results. If you go over to the browser on the right, under Map, we can also display some information about the links. So go ahead and put the flow on for each of the links. And we have some controls over on this browser as well to toggle through each of the time periods. So you can go to hour 6, which is something you'll need to do, select in the specific hour and take your screenshot for your lab submission and see what the flows are and the pressures are during that time period. You can also set this to run through the times by hitting this VCR style controls here. You can adjust the speed at which it does that by using the animation speed down at the bottom and see what's happening over the course of the time. One thing that's interesting to note is the flow to the tank. So sometimes there's water flowing to the tank, sometimes there's water flowing out of the tank. And that's helping to meet the demand during specific time periods when we're running this simulation. We'll pause or stop that. And finally, we want to look at what the water level is doing in the tank. So click on the tank, left click, and then we can go up to the toolbar and create a graph of the head or water height in the tank. And you should get something that looks like this. So again, we see this filling and emptying of the tank that happens over the course of the 3-day period. So make sure you screenshot this for your results as well. And be sure to save your file, which is also a required part of your submission.